Amy, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we're entering people in. Sorry, we had failure through the city.
Amy, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I'm admitting people in there, Richard, too. Okay. We've got a dog in the background, of course.
Mine are rather active tonight too, so.
Yeah. And I've got
And
people.
Steve can't mute himself either.
Hey, Steve, I got your message.
Are you good, Richard?
I'm good. You're good.
I'm good.
going.
All right, thanks.
You're right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, hold on, guys. I've got people requesting to be coming in right now.
Okay, we're fine. We'll wait a few minutes.
Need to try to do this off my phone. Last minute request. Of course, it's not going to work off my phone. Okay, let's see if I got anybody else coming in here. Do we have Tony on here? I'm trying to see if everybody, yep, Tony's on. Okay,
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vermilion City Council meeting for Monday, January 25th, 2021. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of reflection or silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Okay, Gwen, please call the roll.
Here. Emily,
Oh, here.
Brady,
Present.
Luca. Is Frank on here tonight?
Yep, he was on.
Yep, he's on.
Here.
Olivex,
Here.
Holmes,
Here.
Stark. Here. Aaron.
Here. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 4th, 2021 council meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion regarding that? Okay, Gwen?
Brady,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Olivex,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Gahan,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Gwen, you had one item of correspondence and I have. several.
Yes, I have a notice to the Legislative Authority from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for a transfer of a liquor permit to VFM Acquisition Incorporated, DBA Vermilion Farm Market and Carryout, 2901 Liberty Avenue, from Vermilion Farm Market, DBA Vermilion Farm Market and Carryout, 2901 Liberty Avenue. And that's what I have tonight.
Thank you. I have 4 items. Bear with me, please. Okay, and these are going to be read in the order that they were sent to council. First one is as follows. So sent January 7th. My name is Catherine Radeff. My husband Daryl and I live at 566 Hazelwood Drive, Vermilion, Ohio. We moved to Vermilion almost 3 years ago, figuring that this will be our place of retirement. We always brought our 7 children here to enjoy the town when they were younger. We always loved the town. When we bought our house, we loved the neighborhood and our yard. It was a private yard with woods in the back. Now in our backyard, we see the empty lot in the street between the few trees that are left. We strongly oppose the rezoning of the residential to commercial and also oppose the storage units on the property, no matter what they look like or how they are fenced in. From our yard, we would be looking at them directly and hearing people coming and going from them. We also feel that our house will depreciate with storage units being in our backyard. Like I stated, we moved here for our retirement and felt safe in our neighborhood. With the 2 of us getting older, I feel our safety will be at risk with strangers from who knows where coming in and out of our backyard. I truly hope you take our safety in consideration of all the residents who will be affected by this and reject both the rezoning and storage units. Would you want your street to be rezoned commercial or have to look at storage units in your backyard? Would you feel safe? If you need to contact us regarding this letter, we can be reached at the above address. And she does list her phone number, which I'm not going to read. The second item, Dear City Council, this was sent Thursday, January 14th. Please send me the Zoom link to your February 1 evening council meeting. I still strongly object to the rezoning proposal of Mr. Summers. My objections in previous letters, which are listed below, are still valid, excluding the shipping container part. Number 1, residents' home value decrease. This will lessen property values for the city. This hurts the city and residents' personal investments. 2, serious flooding concerns. Please reference past pics and videos I sent in. To date, I don't believe Mr. Summers has done an environmental study. I hope City Council and Mayor noticed all the added flooded a few weeks past. This area is wetlands or just very serious flooding issues. Hold on. As of right now, it appears grading is way higher. Ground level is higher than surrounding homeowners' properties, which means water will all flow towards our Hazelwood homes. Do you care about our personal safety and home values? Number 3, storage facility will produce noise and light pollution spotlights to homeowners. Number 4, storage units are crime prone, which result in costing the city police salary, police calls to protect the storage units and protecting nearby homeowners. Just last week, there was a guy who could now walk through the cleared wooded lot, threatened a neighbor, which still scares us today because we don't know the details, but saw police were called out at night. I'm now scared to go out into my own backyard. Number 5, Mr. Summers never even got work permits for clearing his land recently and in years past. If he can't follow city rules, laws, what makes you think he will in the future? Did he ever reimburse the city when the firefighters had to put out the many sawdust fires about 10 years ago? Number 6, it is my understanding that the changed plan would now develop the land directly behind my house into a parking lot for the Metro Parks with no buffer. Future view. Number 1, if I continue to work from home and my company places employees at home permanently, I would pay more in income taxes to the city. I do not want to stay in my current house or city, especially if the city will do nothing to protect from flooding and home value, residents, investments, homes. Do we want our city landscape to be uninviting, crime-prone storage units which have a very low to no additional possible income to the city from employee taxes? There is not even a need for storage units within city limits. I personally don't think so. Thank you, and please consider protecting your residents too. Meg Kuhn, saddened Hazelwood homeowner. The next item is from Jim Matchkoff, Thursday, January 21st. This is a letter to inform you that I am completely against the tearing down of the Marine Museum without a vote of the people in a special election to be held in the near future. There are many people that live in this city that feel the same way. Council does not seem to be listening to the people. Please read my objection aloud at the very next council meeting. Jim Matchkoff, 1087 Nautical Drive, Vermilion, Ohio. Fourth one, January 22nd. Council members, my name is Bill McCord, 4135 Menlo Park Lane, Vermilion. I am against the proposed rezoning of the 6.323 acre parcel of land on East Liberty Avenue referenced in ordinance 2021-3. I'm requesting this letter to be read into the record at the appropriate time given to correspondence during the Vermilion City Council meeting to be held Monday, January 25th, 2021. In late October 2020, Council unanimously voted no to Todd Summers' first submission to rezone a portion of his East Liberty property from R3 suburban residential to B3 highway commercial. See ordinance 2020-37. The developer is returning to ask for rezoning approval with a different shade of lipstick on his self-storage project with ordinance 2021-3. Summers said if his plan is approved to rezone 6.323 acres to B3, that he would donate a portion of the total 35.09 acre property parcel to Lorain County Metro Parks. The new plan would increase the setback from Hazelwood Avenue to 220 feet and eliminate shipping containers. The plan also adds an illegal mix of storage condominiums and rental self-storage units on the same property. Project adjacent residents on Hazelwood Avenue to the west continue to oppose the request by Summers to rezone the property. It is also opposed by adjacent east side property owners. Although this is the second time the Planning Commission has referred the rezoning request and project to council, it is still doubtful whether the change to B3 allows for the conditional use of the proposed project by ordinance definition. This uncertainty is not new, but still unanswered. Apparently, after years of trying to profit from the original speculative land purchase made years ago, Summers put the property up for auction September 19th, 2019. Summers claimed no bids were received, which was true. The Lorain County Auditor is currently assessing the total 35.09 acre R3 property value to be $221,070. Is it possible no bids were received at the auction because the reserve price of $450,000, see attachments A and B, was too high for a developer to come in and develop a residential project as intended by the current R3 zoning? Planning Commission members may have had sympathy for Summers' inability to sell the property for a windfall profit when they approved the projects. Your guess is as good as mine why Jim Chappell, Joe Williams, and Heidi Strickler voted to approve this revised project, opposed by many adjacent residents, while Jeff Hammerschmidt voted not to approve. Heather Shirley was absent for this vote, but voted to approve the first failed project. Should Summers' inability to claim a profit on speculative land be a concern for Vermilion residents? I don't think so. I ask, what is okay about a project that brings no redeeming value to the city? Adjacent residents oppose the project. We have a zoning plan in place that should be followed. Spot rezoning would be irresponsible in this case and should be denied for a final time by council. Be warned, if the rezoning is approved by council, Be warned, if the rezoning is approved by council, the developer is not legally obligated to build the proposed project or any project. Summers will have a B3 zone parcel to do with as he pleases. You council members can do better for our community. Respectfully submitted, Bill McCord. So the four items we have under correspondence. We're going to go next to President Council's report. I do not have a report tonight. Then we will go to committee reports. And let's see here. Okay, we'll start off with Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, President Herron. The Legislative Committee met on January 11th, and that was a meeting by Zoom. There was only one item on the agenda. It was review of modular self-storage units. Let me look at my note here. We put that on the next legislative meeting for February. I believe that's on February 8th at 6 p.m. to discuss at further length. Tony was going to get us a little bit more information, which he did on that to review. But we do have the first reading on tonight. It has to go for 3 readings. So that will be discussed again on February 8th. And of course, there's also a public hearing that evening. And as far as Vermilion Community Services, I know we have not met as a committee, but I did get an email. Debbie Zanglin is working on getting together with the mayor to donate our annual $10,000 to the city to keep the wheels rolling for the bus. So I know that that's going to be in the works very soon. So we do appreciate everybody that supports the Vermilion Community Services to give rides to those that aren't able to get around otherwise. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. And I echo the gratitude for the citizens that have donated to that. Are there any other questions or comments for Councilwoman Stark? Okay, and again, I only see a few people, so if somebody doesn't need to raise their hand on their computer, so.
No, there's nobody.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go then to Councilman Luca.
Thank you, President Heron. The next utilities meeting will be next Monday, February 8th. And the Port Authority does not have a meeting scheduled for this month. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. We'll go then to Councilwoman Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Planning Commission will meet on February 3rd on a Zoom meeting at 7 o'clock. Excuse me. The Finance Committee met on January 11th. First thing on the agenda was the Parks Capital Funding. Amy let us know that the annual debt of $47,000 for the Sailor Way complex was coming off, and that money, they were going to look into reinvesting that money, and they think they can come up with between $650,000 and $705,000 for the capital expenses for the parks. The majority of that money, when it's secured, would go towards the Harbor View project and the Main Street Beach. The second thing on the agenda was the stormwater update. Again, Amy let us know that there's approximately $500,000 for 2021 in the stormwater fee, and that 120 would be available for borrowing. I would just like to mention that I did get a call from a Ben Chris. He and Ohio Preservation tried to get letters to council. They were late. They did not know that there was a Friday deadline. So just know that council will be receiving letters from them in the near future. This week, I guess they were dropped off at City Hall. Okay, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Brady. Any questions or comments from members? Okay, we'll go then to Councilman Holmes.
Thank you, Council President. Health and Safety will meet February 8th. Parks and Rec met last week. I apologize, I don't have the minutes here in front of me. It was a lengthy meeting. A lot of things were discussed, from the pool to the Main Street project to budgetary issues, and it was a very good meeting. All minutes can be located at vermilion.net.com.
.com.
.com. All right, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Councilman Holmes? All right, next up is Stormwater Advisory Commission, and we do not have a date yet for the next meeting. However, I would like to do that within the first 2 weeks of March. The reason I would like to see if we can get the budget completed and passed, or at least doggone near that, so we can sit down when we have a real good amount on the numbers. I think Ms. Hendricks, just with a yes or a thumbs up or a thumbs down, do you think we would have by in the next couple of months, 6-7 weeks, an idea of how much money we would have for stormwater to just sit down and look at?
Is that, those numbers were provided at the Finance Committee
Okay.
last week. So yes, they're available.
They were there, and that won't change. Okay, so why don't we, okay, thank you very much.
I'll reach out to the stormwater tomorrow now that I'm back, and I'll try to get that work done for a
The
meeting.
numbers we got last week, and I think we'll be
Yep.
safe. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Okay, so then we'll go then to Councilwoman Scahan.
Thank you, Council President. Historic Design and Review will be meeting on February 3rd at 6 p.m. via Zoom.
No, they won't. Sorry.
No, they won't?
No, there's been no application, so there will be no meeting.
Oh, okay, scratch that. And there was not a tree commission meeting this month, but they will have one on the February 10th at 9:30 a.m. via Zoom. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to Councilman Hulavax.
Thank you, Mr. President. Streets, Buildings, and Grounds will meet on Monday, February 8th at 6 o'clock, and that will be a Zoom meeting. The Contractors Registration Board is canceled for tomorrow, January 26th. There's nothing on the agenda. The Zoning Board of Appeals will meet tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and that will also be a Zoom meeting. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go then to our Mayor Safety Director's report. Mayor Forthover.
Thank you, President Herron. On January 6th of this year, I surveyed a group of 11 Lorraine County city mayors and managers regarding whether or not their city halls are open to the public. All but 3 of those remain closed to the public through January or February. So following suit, and because of the unstable nature of the health conditions right now, Vermilion City Hall will also remain closed to the public. And we will review conditions as we move along in February. I think the issue of vaccination is well covered in the media. I don't need to belabor it here. I do just urge every eligible person in Vermilion to register for the COVID-19 vaccination. I mean, the only way we in Vermilion are going to break this pandemic is if we get enough people vaccinated against the virus. Every health commissioner and physician I speak to says the vaccine is safe, it's all synthetic. I know quite a few healthcare workers and first responders who have had the vaccination and show absolutely no side effects or mild. Residents in either Lorraine or Erie County can get the vaccination by contacting the Erie County Health Department, but there are several other pharmacies around providing vaccination. And all that's really important is that you just get it, please. The service director and I presented the certificate of occupancy for Fire Station 1 on January 15th. I don't know if everyone can appreciate exactly how much time the Chief Stempowski and the fire department in general have put into watching every detail of this construction project for Firehouse 1 as it moved along. I mean, they were on every outlet, every doorway. The department even took it upon themselves to handle securing some furniture and fixtures in the interest of keeping the project on or under budget. For some firefighters, it was actually almost a third job after their daytime work and fighting fires on our city's behalf. I would very much like to have a building dedication and public tour, but I'm afraid that's going to have to be in our future right now. As of now, as it is for most of you, my concern is with how to have a public gathering without violating the COVID protocols that I encourage residents to follow. So I will keep you posted as we go through the months ahead of when might be a safe and opportune time to let the public see their new beautiful Firehouse 1. Again, I have had conversations with the health commissioners and medical professionals regarding the resumption of outdoor festivals and activities. And I can only say that opinions are mixed. I think because the shifting nature of the evolution of the virus, the slow vaccination process. I've also been meeting with the chamber and with Main Street. We all, just rest assured, we all badly want to see Vermilion return to our traditions this summer. We may be looking at modified events that satisfy the health department and at the same time allow me as mayor to issue a parade permit or festival permit with a good, clear conscience. As residents, it is up to us to make summer events possible by helping turn the corner on this pandemic. And lastly, I have submitted to council my appointments for vacancies on the Port Authority, Tree Commission, as well as appointments for the 5 members who make up the Charter Review Commission. I appreciate council's consideration of these resident volunteers who are willing to give up their time for the community. I also, by the way, request an executive session pertaining to personnel if that's possible. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor Forthover. Are there any questions or comments from members?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll go then to our service director's report. Mr. Valerius, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President. Tonight, as I do every year, would like to give you the year-end totals regarding building permits and property maintenance and building inspections performed by the building department last year. There were 486 property maintenance violations, 215 garbage and debris violations, 49 exterior maintenance violations, 256 trailer, recreational vehicle, and yard parking violations, 796 high grass violations, 71 non-compliant vehicle violations, 131 no permit or registration violations, 132 sidewalk violations, and 83 miscellaneous property maintenance violations, for a total of 2,219 property maintenance inspections. Regarding building permits and building inspections, there were 529 residential building permits and 53 commercial building permits issued last year, which resulted in 1,181 building inspections performed. We had 20 new single-family homes built in our city, along with 6 new duplexes and 3 new commercial buildings. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Valerius?
Barb,
Yeah, just a question, Tony. Do we know how many of the violations were solved or taken care of? Or are they still hanging out there?
I think the majority of those violations, I mean, those were all violations that, letters were sent out and they were all resolved.
Okay.
As far as property maintenance violations goes, I mean, we don't let anything hang out there.
Yeah.
I mean, did we take any to court?
Yes, there are some in court, and I think I have that number. There are 39 properties that were sent to the prosecutor this year, or last year.
Okay, I have a quick question. So a lot of these, it sounds like most of these are resolved simply by compliance. Once
By
the
compliance, correct.
property owner is notified that steps are taken, and it doesn't have to go to court. There's no fine or anything like that. It's just a question of, here's the situation. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All but those 39 were
Right.
settled. They complied.
And those 39 have a right to challenge in the court, so that's fine. Okay.
Certainly.
All right, Barb, I apologize if I interrupted you. Do you have many more
No,
questions?
that's fine. Thank you.
Any other members have questions or comments?
no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Valerius. We'll go then to the Finance Director's report. Ms. Hendricks.
Thank you, Council President. I have just a couple brief items to touch on tonight, and one Councilman Brady talked about in the Finance Committee report, but we do have the legislation on the agenda this evening for the Parks Board bond issuance, and they have opted to pursue up to $705,000 and to put that towards the Parks capital improvements that have been listed on the legislation. Now, the reason for the change in the numbers is because of the negotiated nature of the sale of the bonds. We want to be able to get close to what the debt service of the $47,500 is that will be retiring. And based on the interest rates that are negotiated on that specific day, that causes a range in what kind of money might be available. So if we're going to go through that process, they wanted to maximize that. Also, given the timing of being able to move forward with projects this season, would like to ask that council consider waiving the rules and passing that legislation this evening. The second comment is about a committee that I've been asked to participate in by the Erie County Auditor's Office and the Lake Erie Shores and Islands Travel Bureau. They have invited some finance officers and city managers, that type of thing, from both Erie and Ottawa counties to get together to talk about how we manage our short-term rental collections, registrations, those types of things, as well as the collection of taxes. So we're going to be working on ways that we can coordinate that together to make it easier for everyone, whether that's through the Granicus software or some other options. So I'll be reporting back on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments for the finance director tonight from members?
No comments.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. We'll go. Is Mr. Howard here, city engineer?
Yes. Yes, he is.
City engineers report, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Council President. At next week's council meeting, we'll have revisions to Chapter 1460, which is the Flood Damage Reduction Ordinance. ODNR and FEMA is requiring that the ordinance from 2007 be updated due to new flood insurance rate maps for the city that will become effective in March. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from members? Yes, Councilwoman Brady.
I heard on the news at one point that the state was cutting back or pushing out some projects. Have we had any word that any of our projects are going to be delayed because of funding?
We have not.
Okay. I was just curious.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? So, Mr. Howard, will you have then the ordinance next week then?
Yes.
Reflecting those
Correct.
changes from the state? Okay, thank you. All right, appreciate it. And we'll go to the law director's report. Mr. Stumphauser.
I have no report this evening.
Thank you. And we do not have response to the audience, so we'll go to open to the audience. Is there anybody who would like to address council? If you do, please raise your hand and Ms. Fisher can call on you. There is a 5-minute limitation on the length of the statement.
Homer, I believe, did you raise your hand? I've lost you on my screen.
I did.
Okay, I don't know where you went.
I see him. Or something.
I'm not sure either.
Oh, there he is. He's up in the corner now. He was just down below.
Thank you, Council President Herron, members of council, members of the administration. Kermit seemed to got in my throat a little bit tonight, so if I choke, I'm sorry. But I did want to speak on several issues if there's time, but first and foremost, a committee of 5 of your electors, citizens, Betsy Wakefield, Bill McCourt, Vito Camarata, Elaine Carlin, and myself today provided the finance director with a copy of a certified ordinance that we propose to initiate by initiative petition and have a vote on in November to prohibit storage unit facilities in residential and business zones. It is not only those 5 of us, but there are literally dozens of people that are concerned about this. We feel that the Planning Commission has not, for whatever reason, recognized that we do believe that storage units are actually an appropriate conditional use in business zones. We are concerned that the administration and council have not come forward with anything to make that clear. And we believe that a majority of the citizens will agree with that point of view from the feedback we've had and have the right to do so. I would therefore hope the council and the administration would at least consider placing a moratorium on any storage unit facilities until such time as the people have a say in the matter. There are several other issues that, so I won't talk a lot about that tonight, but I may again in the future. But there are a number of other things. You have 2 ordinances up for reading tonight that relate to junkyards and to mobile storage containers or whatever you end up defining. A couple of comments there. I know that there's going to be another meeting, a legislative meeting and a public hearing in the future, but just in case I'm not there, number one, I think that you really need to look at the drafting of those carefully. As we were working through the drafting of the ordinance we have proposed, it appears to me that you're amending a portion of certain sections of the planning code and then repealing in the next sentence the entire thing. So you might want to look at that, number one. Number two, as to junkyards, I think that when you talk about junk inside buildings, including anything that's used and might be resold, you're starting to prohibit things like Goodwill stores or all sorts of other things that I don't think you would intend to. I think the sweep of this ordinance is not well thought out. And the same problem really relates to movable containers. Are you going to prohibit every recycle thing that's on private property? Are you going to prohibit every clothes donation bin on private property? Are you going to prohibit the storage of house trailers or work trailers or semis without trucks on them, or so forth or so on? I think that there's a great deal of concern with things that are in that ordinance. Specifically, especially since you are putting the bonding authority on the agenda for possible passage tonight, I need to mention a minor disagreement. I have a lot of regard for the Parks Board, but by the same token, they said that the excess over the 320,000 for the Main Street Beach project would be spent on walking trails, because that was what the survey said folks wanted most. Actually, I've had a chance to look at the survey, and I don't think that's what it says. And the response that relates to walking trails, which is the second most popular response, was not just walking trails. It was walking trails and lakefront access. And I think there's a good deal to be said for lakefront access. But as to the ordinance, perhaps there's a solution. I don't know. I don't know that you want to necessarily have exactly the same debt service as 20 years ago for the Sailor Lake complex of 47,500. But I would suggest at the very least that you consider, depending on what projects would come along, a bonding authority of at least up to $1 million, and then make your decisions. As I understand it, there's no harm in saying more money and not getting it if you decide on 47.5 and it ends up not generating that much money. But I would leave yourself a high top end.
But if you want another 30 seconds, go ahead.
Thank you. I did want to mention on other bonding things, you know, that I support the idea of doing a lot of streets, water, sanitary sewer work. But for many, many months now, I've not heard any engineering or plans to do anything with respect to the problem with the VOL sanitary sewers. And I really think that it's time to start addressing that. We know what the problem is, and it's simply a matter of engineering a solution. If there was more time, I could even make some suggestions to that tonight, but I really think that you need to address that, and you need to address it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taft. Appreciate that. Is there anybody else? Gwen, do you see any other hands?
Hold on 1 minute. Nope. If I missed anybody, please speak up right now.
Okay.
I don't see anybody.
Thank you very much. All right, we do not have any old business. Under new business, I am going to make a motion to go into executive session to consider the employment or discipline of a public employee. So it's, yeah.
At the conclusion of this meeting, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and we'll go into what we're going to do
Okay.
a little bit with respect to the adjournment and so forth. So, but I am making that motion.
You made that motion. Okay. I need a second then.
Second.
Second,
Luca. Okay. Skahan,
yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Halifax,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Heron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item is I'm going to make a motion to approve the appointment of Gary Freet to the Tree Commission for a 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Gwen?
Stark,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Grady,
yes,
Skahan,
yes,
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, second, next item under new business, do we have a motion to approve the appointment of Jonathan Hauk to the Vermilion Port Authority for a 5-year term?
So moved.
second,
Any discussion? Okay,
Luca,
Yes.
Grady,
yes,
Skahan,
yes,
Stark,
Yes.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Aaron.
yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Ehor Sisko, Tammy Horton, Reed Wakefield, Eileen Bullen, and Lee Howley to the Charter Review Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Barb,
yeah. I've just wondered, Mayor, did you have other people that volunteered for this? I mean, we only do it every few years and it's very important. I just wonder if council maybe should have gotten some choices. Were there other people that volunteered to be on this committee?
No, there was no one who volunteered. I had to approach everyone based on who I thought was able to do a good job on this committee. I don't think anyone, if I can read you their credentials if you like.
Oh, no, I know all the people involved. I don't have a problem with the people. I just wanted to make sure that, we could. Sure.
No one was eliminated, Councilwoman, if that's what you're talking about.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, Gwen?
Luca,
Yes.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Grady,
Yes.
Skahan,
yes,
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Before we go to the reading of the ordinances, I just want to thank all of the individuals who have volunteered to come forward and serve our city that we appointed tonight. So thank you all very, very much. So we will now go to the reading of the ordinances. Mr. Stumphauser, and certainly don't have to read the first two that are tabled.
Right. Based on Mr. Taft's comments, Mr. Council President, I'm going to revisit both ordinance number 2021-1 and 2021-4 to look at the issues that were raised by Mr. Taft. I want to make certain that we're putting something before council that obviously, hopefully addresses their concerns, but I'll do that before your committee meeting, next committee meeting, which I think February 8th.
Committees will meet on the 8th of February, yes.
We have a public hearing on both of those prior to the committee meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
That's
So
6
we'll
o'clock.
get back to you on any issues before February 8th, okay?
And Ken, when you're reading these captions, you might, if you don't want to go through each zoning district, you might just want to allude to all the zoning districts in chapter 1270. If you want to cut all those out when you read.
Well, let's go through second reading of ordinance 2021-1 and a more ordinance amending section 1270.01A1. And there's a number of code sections following. It's rather cumbersome to read them all. So I think you have the document in front of you. And I think,
Let me just say, any individual who would like to see all those code sections, if you could just email Ms. Fisher tomorrow, she can get those to you if you want to cross-reference and do your own research. Thank you. Is that okay, Gwen?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
you want me to proceed?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Second reading of ordinance 2021-3, an ordinance enacted pursuant to chapter 1266 of the codified ordinances Vermilion rezoning land in Vermilion, Ohio, and containing an area of approximately 6.323 acres from R3 Suburban Residence District to B3 Highway Commercial District land use classification is favorably recommended by the Vermilion Planning Commission, authorizing the city engineer to amend the official zoning map of the city of Vermilion to conform herewith, as said map has been established by section 1268.02 codified ordinances of Vermilion upon the effective date hereof.
Thank you. That matter will go to a third reading and also be the subject of a public hearing February 1st, 6:00 p.m. via Zoom. So thank you. Proceed, and you can proceed the next, much the same way that you did the last one, if you like.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2021-4. And again, I'm just going to read the initial part. An ordinance amending section 1260.06 definitions of various codified ordinance sections dealing with zoning districts in the city of Vermilion.
Thank you. And again, those sections are all listed on our agenda and can be obtained by sending an email to the council clerk's office. Please proceed.
First reading of ordinance number 2021-5. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in a maximum principal amount of $705,000 for the purpose of paying cost of improving the city's park and recreation facilities by demolishing the Inland Seas Maritime Museum building, performing site clearance, improvement and preparation, and placing the site in a condition for use for park and recreational purposes, constructing park recreational walking trails, and construction and installing improvements at city parks, together with the necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2021-5 and declaring an emergency.
So moved. Second.
One.
Gahan,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Alves,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-5 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
I'll just make a comment. I believe that this is appropriate for emergency declaration, given the representations made by the finance director concerning the fiscal and the health of the community. This involves a number of issues that are related to health at the public record, going back regarding the maritime building whole area relate to the health and welfare of the citizens. So yes, Councilwoman Brady.
Yeah, I have two questions, Council President. One is for Amy, is there any credence to what Homer said about increasing that amount? I don't know enough about bonds to.
At this point in time, that is a number that the Parks Board is comfortable with as becoming a long-term committed portion of their debt service each year. They have revenues from their operating and their capital levies that they have chosen to available for them as other projects may evolve. When we borrow money, one of the topics or limitations would be 85% of that money has to be spent within 3 years. So we really need to be borrowing for projects that are planned and imminent. That was one of the specific cautions that came from our bond council, is to make sure that they were projects that were planned and could be completed within that time frame, where some of the other projects listed the permitting processes and things like those for maybe a shoreline project, that type of thing, are just too far out to issue the debt at this time and then begin the work on those. And so I'm deferring to the judgment of the Parks Board, who are very diligent in their duties, and this is what they're comfortable with in committing to annual debt service, but they are extremely dedicated to a number of long-term projects in the community.
Okay. My second question is that when you read the ordinance, it very heavily leans towards the Maritime Museum and that piece of property. And I know at the finance committee meeting, we said, you know, that the majority was going to be spent there, but that other parks, and at the time we mentioned Shozy, we're going to see some of these monies. You know, I just have hesitation that we really low key the rest of the city, you know, as far as the $705,000 goes. You know, I'd like to make sure that, you know, okay, majority goes to the downtown project, but we have a lot of other parks in the city, and you're talking about walking trails and all that. I want to make sure that we spread this money out a little bit, and that concerns me, that the way this ordinance reads.
Steve Heron, you have Chairman Terry Parker from the Parks Board who would like to address this.
Absolutely.
Have them unmute.
Thank you, Mr. President and council members. When we finalized this proposal, 320,000 of whatever we can borrow is committed to the Main Street Beach Revitalization Project. The remainder is going to be divided between Shozy Park and Sherrod Park. We have concept drawings that are just ready to come in. We're going to commit those funds to developing walking trails in those two parks because that's one of the community's highest desires to have, and those are the two parks that get used the most besides Main Street Beach. So if we're going to borrow money, that's where those dollars are going to go. I see Brad is on also the finance chair of parks, if he may speak.
That'd be fine. Brad, did you want to speak?
Unmute, Brad, you just muted.
That's better. Thank you, Council President. Yes, that was exactly our intent, Barb, is to spread that money. The intent was to actually use our three most used parks are Shozy, Sherrod, and Main Street Beach. And that was exactly what we thought we would do, is to spread it out that way. And as per the most recent surveys, that was kind of the indication, is that walking trails were a priority. And it was something that we felt we could get done in that 3-year time frame that Amy had mentioned. So yes, we do feel like we're trying to spread it between the center part of town, east and west was the intent.
And I appreciate that. I was just worried about the way that the ordinance was written. You know,
Okay.
Not your intent being bad, but the way this is written, it sounded like, didn't sound that way. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the input.
And I just wanted to add, because I did not get the Parks Board minutes done from last week, that there was a favorable recommendation from the group as a whole to recommend this ordinance to council.
Okay, thank you. That's okay. Anybody else want to discuss this situation, this ordinance?
Frank?
Frank, go ahead.
I believe that the implementation of this ordinance will be a great future benefit to our city's recreational park facilities, and I'm enthusiastically supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? And again, I'm limited into the number of squares that are in front of my face,
I
so.
don't see anybody else.
Well,
Okay, I'll call the roll.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Luca?
Yes.
Hollivax?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
Brady?
Yes.
Skahan?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Proceed.
And unmute.
First reading of Resolution 2021 R-2, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to accept the terms and conditions of a certain agreement with the State of Ohio Department of Natural Resources relative to the allocation of funds for the maintenance of a marine patrol and declaring an emergency.
That matter will go to a second reading. So at this point in time, all right, deal. We're going to adjourn into executive session. I was notified by a citizen who I appreciate very much, called me the other day and informed me that there is a part of communications from the Attorney General's office concerning open meetings that executive sessions have to be done within an actual open meeting. That, to me, is not a part of the revised code section of 121.22. So I don't see where there's a punishment or an issue or a consequence of not doing that unless there is an official decision made after that based upon the discussion in the executive session. However, in reading the Attorney General's information based upon this and also relating to when we do these hearings now on Zoom because of COVID, there's been, as you all know, a legislative change in open meetings that we can do them on I guess online would be the term. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go into executive session and we're going to come back. If anybody would like to hear me say the words, we're going to adjourn for the night, you can come back and accept that invitation. That would be the only official thing that we're going to do. So it's a little bit convoluted and I didn't word it very well, but that's how we're going to do it based upon the information that I've received from the Attorney General and how I read that. So that's just what we're going to do tonight. So I appreciate your patience with that explanation.
Mr. Council President,
Yes, sir.
do you want me to attend the executive session?
Yes, if you would, please.
I believe I did not include him because I talked to the mayor. I don't know if the mayor needed him.
Well,
Jim?
No, but I would welcome his attendance if it's possible.
Okay, I'm gonna have to, you're just gonna have to give me a minute. We're gonna have to leave out of here. I'm gonna have to send you the invite for executive session. Unless you can send that over to him real quick, Jim, from your
Sure.
computer, that might be easier.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank
So if you want to adjourn this meeting, Steve, and then we'll close out, go in executive session, then we'll come back into council again.
Correct. We're going to adjourn to go into executive session.
Everybody just give me a minute because I got to get on with IT to stop the live stream. So just go into the waiting room and I will get you back in.
Wait a minute. Do we leave this meeting then? Is that what we do?
Yep, go ahead and adjourn this meeting to this point. Yep, into executive session.
Okay.
When are you leaving this stream open and then we're
No,
jumping?
I sent out another stream. We're gonna go in executive session. I sent you that one. When we're done with executive session, we'll close out and then we're gonna go into another back to Vermilion City Council to a new meeting,
Okay, thank
which
you.
is really the same meeting, but just a different link.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Ken, I just sent by email the link to this executive session. Can you see it? All right, good.